Good morning. Well, I noticed the other day that the lights were not on the beer tender that we have, and the model number is VB50, of course, made in China, like everything else, and decided to go ahead and start looking into what might be the problem. And I removed the cover in the back, and there's this little white door that covers here, and this is the power supply that supplies power to everything. And noticed that these capacitors that are on the board, they are puffed up at the top. They are not flush, and that's usually an indication that the capacitors are bad. So I'm going to see what I can do about replacing those. What I did do is I took and I verified that I had 120 volts going into the board, and then there's a plug over here on this side, which is this plug. This actually sits in here in this fashion. It goes vertical like this, and then this plug will have 12 volts coming out of it, and I do not have the 12 volts, so this is probably the problem. So there's three capacitors that are 100 microfarads, and one that is, I believe, 470. So I'm going to see what I can do about replacing those and see if that resolves the issue. I think the parts are rather cheap. Another thing that I wanted to point out was, you will need a voltmeter in order to test the voltage coming in and out of the this plug. And basically, when it was in position, I would use the black on the black and the red on the red and verify that there's 12 volts coming out of it. It would be, I believe, 12 volts AC, but I checked it both AC and DC, and neither one has 12 volts coming out, so I'm quite certain it's the board. Okay, I did a little bit more looking in. The capacitors on these are 16 volt. Try to see if I can get that on the camera. I may not be able to. It's 16 volt 1000 UF, which is microfarads. These three are the same, and this one is different. These three are in parallel. They all parallel one another on the back of the board. But this one, which I said what the value was, I think it's 470, 16 volt. The other ones are 1000, 16 volt. Sorry about the camera moving around a lot. So I'm going to try to investigate replacing the whole thing and also just getting capacitors. Well, I found the parts on Radio Shack's website, but they wanted, I think with the shipping, it was going to come up to around $14, about $15 with a $7 shipping. So I basically searched eBay and found lots of results, obviously, many from out of the country, but found the official Radio Shack page, and I think I'll see if I can find the page real quickly. Yeah, it was sold by Radio Shack right there, and found the exact same ones on there, and it was free shipping. I think the time frame was quite long to receive it, but that looks like about 6 days, at least 6 days from now. But I don't care. The beer can wait. All right, thank you. That's all. I'll post and tell you how it goes after I replace the capacitors.